Rinpoche was always saying, do jit, do arom, the state of mind you're in. And this is like really, you investigate in your mind, know what's going on inside, because usually our attention's outside, going looking at things as, we're conditioned to see the world as something out there, and the thinking process tends to be, developed from that assumption. But then the Buddha pointing not at making ultimate kind of doctrines about suffering, but as a noble truth, it's not ultimate truth. And so to seek dukkha is not about going and looking at misery outside, but looking here at your own insecurity, doubting, the feeling that arises when somebody insults you, or the feeling that arises when you get something you want, is you feel momentary happiness, but it doesn't last. And so you can observe this. And this is like sati sampajanya, satipanya. And that's the thing that so inspired me about this tradition. This is the only escape hatch we have. How could you do it other way, just through believing in happiness or God or goodness that will make you happy? And if you're going to believe it, I encourage you to believe in good things, because at least you'll find happiness, more happiness than people that don't. Like if God is good, and believing in angels and devatas, and trying to develop positive personal qualities is certainly praiseworthy, but it's limited. It's still birth and death. But like just ask yourself, the unborn, uncreated, your imagination, you can't produce anything, any image. Like if you notice in Buddhism, you can produce a Buddha Rupa. So a human form, like here, a human form, in a state of, mindfulness, where, and the Buddha Rupa is beautiful because it's the Buddha, Gautama the Buddha was a human being. He wasn't some devana, an ethereal force from outer space. He's a physical, historical human being, but he was, he wasn't. But the Buddha is really just the enlightened conscious awareness. So, and then Buddha realizes Dhamma, the way things are, reality. You can't make an image of Dhamma. You can make a Dhammacakka is the best you can do, but you can't have a human form for Dhamma. It's not impossible. So, they have the Dhammacakka as a kind of symbol to remind you of Dhamma. And then imagine unborn, uncreated, unformed. And try to imagine anatta, no self. If I don't exist, there's no self, what am I doing, Until your mind kind of goes into, trying to figure things out that you can't, where the reasoning, logical thinking mind can't reach, can't imagine, because it's beyond imagery. And like space is the beyond image, or consciousness. And then nothing, the third immeasurable is nothingness. You can't have nothingness. What is that? As a in the present moment, or Neva Sanya na Sanya Yatana, where neither perception nor non-perception. Try to figure that one out with your brain. It makes absolutely no sense on the logical, reasonable level. Neither perception nor non-perception. But intuitively you recognize it. It's an intuitive reality, not a logical one. And this is where you see the limitation of thinking takes you so far, like Variyati Dhamma, Variyati Bhati Way, that sequence. Variyati Dhamma is like signs pointing in a direction, and then you go where it's pointing, you do Bhati Bhata, and then the result of Bhati Bhata is Bhati Way, the result of what you've been doing. So that it's this formula of like the three aspects of each noble truth give you that sense of reflective awareness. Because it's not just grasping suffering as a doctrinal position. You didn't suffer, it's all misery. And one can do that, but that's not what a noble truth is. So the noble truth is understanding suffering. So, like, use the suffering you have in daily life. I used to tell people in England, I said, being brought up as a Christian, you have these images of Christ being crucified on a cross. That's a real strong image of suffering. It's just really extreme. Like stripped naked, humiliated, everybody laughing and jeering, nailed on the cross in public, where your mother is at the base crying, and people jeering and saying, "You're the king of the Jews," and they put a crown of thorns. It's the worst possible scenario for suffering, or one of them. But don't wait for a crucifixion. Just work with the stuff you have in daily life. We suffer, even if we're, in a beautiful modern mansion with all the luxuries around us, and we get our feelings hurt. We feel angry. We feel desires, and we feel frightened and envious and jealous, and we worry and so forth. And this is all the suffering you need to know. And that's what I've been doing, like in all these years, just using the things that happen to me, that make me unhappy or angry or upset or despairing or whatever, to just use that as a noble truth. And hopefully I won't be crucified. But if I am, I wouldn't know what to do. But how I could learn from that. But it's not necessary to wait for that to happen, because none of us ever will probably be tortured or abused in such an extreme way. In Thai Force tradition, there's a lot of opinions and views. And so, you hear monks saying, you've got to get to jhanas first before you can do vipassana, or you don't need jhanas, they're a waste of time, and so people do grasp these words and come from a position, an opinion. But what you can know is when somebody says you've got to get jhanas first, how do you feel about that? When do you agree or feel intimidated or what? This you can know, and to just make it simple. You can only know how things affect you. Like some people come across the kind of authorities on the scriptures. And, they've studied Pali, Sanskrit, and they've written books on the suttas and Abhidhamma, and they speak from ex cathedra, the high seat of certainty. And I always found those people very intimidating. So somebody comes from this kind of, they have a degree in Buddhism, and they speak in this very peremptory style of, I'm the authority. And I use that, looking at how my own reaction to such strong conviction and certitude that they push at me, that I'm receiving, like this. This you can know. I'm not saying they're wrong, but how people present things also affects you. How I say something is going to affect, my tone of voice is going to affect you. You're a sensitive being, If I say something really profound but in a harsh voice, you're going to feel the harshness. You may not get the profound meaning of what I'm saying. This is what sensitivity is about. This is a sense realm. We're not just, you pick up like people's emotions. You can say very profound things, but from a very angry position, or this is the only truth and everything else is wrong. That might be a tone of voice. You're going to feel it. We all will, but sometimes we may not have that certitude, that certainty that they have, and then you tend to doubt. And they call him, he really knows me. He's got a PhD in Buddhist studies from Harvard University. I don't have anything. And you can be aware of their intimidation. But that which is aware is what you need to respect, rather than your view of yourself or of the other person. Those are sankharas.
Krishna, I have friends who are doing the same Buddhism and so other forms of Buddhism, and they often come with the question about, it's selfish what we are doing, striving for Nibbana, because they have so this Bodhisattva ideal in them. What is your to this? Often you have strong views in Theravada and Mahayana, speak on this point.
Well, that's very altruistic, the Bodhisattva, and it's very inspiring, in fact, to sacrifice your enlightenment to the welfare. In one way, I kind of see how that's possible. I can't see how my remaining ignorant is going to help any of you. So I feel gratitude to Luang Por because I knew him, I lived with him, and he's a human being, and the same problems as we all have, and he was so helpful, and even to this day, he's even though he died 20 years ago, he's still, the power of his teaching and the memory of him is still, is even more so than it was when he was alive. And he was compassionate, because I used to wonder, when you're running a monastery, you've always got issues and problems, and Wat Pah Pong, as it started expanding, it just, more and more monks came and more branches, and then there was more problems and scandals and things like this going on, and I used to wonder how he, why didn't he just go off and live a nice peaceful life instead of establishing Wat Pah Pong and kind of accepting anybody that came, and then all us foreigners and Because in one way, from a personal view, why would he do such a thing? When obviously got enlightened long before, and he could have just lived a nice, peaceful life, some remote place. And then, but then you feel this continuous gratitude because he established Wat Pah Pong and opened possibilities for us all. And that's Bodhisattva. I mean, that's an enlightened being who has compassion. Oh, thank you. And so I could see the point as I heard it from Mahayana, I could see it as an upaya maybe that developed because sometimes the way we practice is so self-centered. Like I'm going to get enlightened no matter what. To hell with you. So I can see the Bodhisattva thing as a kind of altruistic upaya to kind of counteract selfishness. But I've always what I've admired with the Theravada approach is this directness and clarity, simplicity. Because that appeals to me. I'm already, my personality is quite complicated. I don't need to make it more complicated. I just need to understand the causes of suffering. Why I feel this way. I used to want to know why do I feel like this. And then as the practice developed, then it didn't matter why. It's just, this moment is like this. And so like Lumpur Cho's always, it's like this. Life is like this. And Buddha taught, Benyan Mihe, the way things are. And you notice this is a statement of reflection. It's not judging anything. It's not saying it's good or bad this moment at this time. We're not saying it's good or bad or whatever, but it's certainly acknowledgement that at this moment it's like this, and from your own, awareness, not from your idea of what you like it to be, and from your own personal insight into your own feeling of opening to the present is like this. Because I can't tell you how it is. I can describe my own view of it, but it's probably not what you're experiencing. So that's where it's up to you to recognize that you're the only one that can know at this moment the way it is, and then it gets down to there's consciousness, and then there's conditioned feelings that sometimes you have no name for. A lot of our emotional life is you have no words for it. If you ask somebody, how do you feel right now? And they probably when you're really angry or greedy or something, that's stronger emotions, but most of our life is like this. It's neither nor. But we can be aware of neither nor without having to define it or examine it, just recognize all conditions, this continuous reflection on impermanence. And then investigating impermanence is, accepting, observing, sati sampajanya, not making any problems around it, just the simple act of accepting this moment is like this. And then you recognize, you become more aware of behind all the conditions you're feeling is the mental states or emotions or thought. It's consciousness. And if you let go of your interest in the conditions that you're experiencing, you realize pure consciousness. Here and now. It's always pure. You can't, the conditions can be impure, but the consciousness never impure. And that is quite important to me because, you're brought up in a Christian family where impurities you've got to get rid of, and you shouldn't have impure thoughts or get angry or things like this, so you're constantly trying to control things, and then feeling inadequate or guilty if you get obsessed with impure thoughts or anger and fear and jealousy, and you feel you're not good enough, or God doesn't love you anymore. And so, it's a hopeless task on that level. How much control do you have over what arises in your consciousness? And you only have pure, idealistic and beautiful thoughts and feelings, or it changes according to conditions. What conditions now, and then then it changes according to, you're going to, this is one thought, and it'll change and go to the side. Aware of change, rather than, this you can actually do. It's not about defining it or seeing it as good or bad, but recognizing it's like this. And that's a discerning. You discern, it's not a judgmental one. So even if you have bad thoughts, or being angry, you can discern that anger is like this. You're looking at anger not by attaching to it anymore and identifying with it as your problem, but you're totally accepting it. And then you see it cessation. Anger is impermanent and not self. So then you find this is reality. And where before, I'm angry, I shouldn't be. And then you make a big thing about why do I get angry when I shouldn't, and why am I so upset over somebody, looked at me cross-eyed this morning and, just really disturbed my peace of mind. What's wrong with me? Then you start analyzing. Don't do that. Just recognize conditioned phenomena like this. And then you can go, that which is aware of conditioned phenomena can't be conditioned phenomena. Couldn't be. But it's conscious, knowing. And like Lumpachara, he said, at the end of his teachings all about my man, not knowing. And that's the highest knowledge, is not, this is like a paradox, really. It's not ignorance, like you don't know anything because you don't know why, and you're not bright or intelligent, or it's not giving up intelligence, but it's transcending the conditioning and knowing Dhamma. Buddha knows Dhamma. That's the real knowing, because consciousness is ability to know. And the objects of consciousness are conditions, like the sankharas. So that which is aware of sankhara is not a sankhara. And test it out. It's a kind of fun to do, I found, to be you can be aware of anger, anger, then we say, I'm angry, whose fault is it? Or I just lose my temper, or I shouldn't feel like this, I've been a bhikkhu so long. And then you create a whole guilty trip in your mind about yourself as a person, that having feelings that you shouldn't have. That's Sakyaditi operating. rather than the opportunity of the moment is to observe, be the Puto knowing Dhammo and Buddha knowing Dhammo rather than emotional thoughts. Like now it's so simple, I've been practicing this for so long, knowing sankharas, it's the best way to describe it. And be the knowing rather than the sankharas. And that's mind sati sampajanya. That's the gate to the deathless. And then like the aparita desangamatasa Torah, the gate to the deathless is open. Amatasa Torah, the Torah is a door, and Amatasa is like the gate, the door to the deathless. And that can't be a sankhara, it's this point where we're mindful. That's the escape hatch out of birth and death.